Morning, friends. Hope you are doing well. We are going to be doing some garden maintenance today. It's time to cut down the artichokes. They're getting quite overgrown and large, and the flowers are pretty much done. They've got aphids all over them, and they just look terrible. So we're going to cut them down to the ground, and they will regenerate and come back next year. These are perennial vegetables. Once you have them, unless something horrible happens. Even though the bees love these flowers, they're pretty much done. Most of them are fizzled out at this point, and there's plenty of other flowers in the garden for the bees. So we're going to get these out. We're also going to take out the nicotiana, which is right next to it, because it is starting to lay over, and it's laying down on things like the agastache and the asters that I don't want to crush. So I need my loppers for this, and then we will just, clean up, get some weeds cleaned up around here. There's other things that this has been kind of shrouding, so things like the calendula we'll cut back because that'll give us another flush. We'll do some weeding, just, some basic clearing up. But I do need to be careful because, that's a wasp in here. Checking me out, checking out the flowers. And I really don't like getting stung by wasps. It hurts way more than a bee sting. Yeah, and it's pretty active on there. A couple of them are. So we might start with the nicotiana and just be careful. And I'll see about moving to the artichokes. Yeah, there's like 10. 10 wasps. And I just don't want to get stung. So I'm going to be real careful. Maybe we'll start on the outside over here and do some gentle cleaning and just start slowly working our way so they can buzz on down and not, I won't get stung. All right, I'm going to set you guys up to watch, and I will take our tomato and pepper haul into the garage first. I harvested a ton of tomatoes over the last couple of days, and they are ripening. We're going to have fresh tomato soup for dinner tonight with grilled cheese sandwiches. So I need to get those roasting pretty soon. But in the meantime, I needed to pick some more that will start to ripen on the counter. If I leave them to ripen on the plant, they usually end up getting eaten. So as soon as they start to show a little bit of color, that's when I harvest them. And then within 2 days, they're ripe. Okay. Let me go put these down, and then we'll get started on this cleanup. Well, that is quite the improvement. It looks so much better. I love the artichokes, but boy, do they take up a lot of space. So let's take a look at where we stand now and how we'll be moving into August. Okay, so here's where we had the artichokes, and now we've got these pink Azumi asters with extremely tall stems. I will be harvesting a lot of these for the wedding next weekend. We've got our beautiful Agastaki. I don't know what variety this is, you guys. I started it from seed, but the bees love it. We've got a lot of wind today. We've got some yarrow back here that was kind of buried by the artichokes. I think this is summer shades, summer pastels maybe. I don't know. Again, started from seed and we just popped it in here. That is a California currant. I have another one on the fence line here as well, and some borage around it. But that, hopefully, it's a perennial. It will continue to grow and we'll get some actual fruit on it sometime. But again, more Azumi asters and Agastaki, and then these gorgeous blue. I mean, they're purple, but they're called, I think they're labeled as blue, Lisianthus that we'll be harvesting as well. We've got our Lady of Shalott Rose, which is kind of a climber, but this one is doing a good shrub routine, so we're going to keep pruning her. Then, of course, we've got our marigolds and more asters. I just can't wait to harvest these next week. They're going to be so great in... I mean, I harvested a bunch at the farm today for CSA bouquets, but these are going to be beautiful in the wedding next weekend. Yeah, and more of the purple or blue Lisianthus. Our beans, struggling. It's getting hot. They are definitely getting sunburned and kind of petered out. So I will probably pull some of these and we'll put something else in here for fall, but not yet. This bed gets the most sun in the garden because it doesn't get as shaded since it's on the western side of the garden. So it can handle growing some stuff for fall. Whereas these beds over here will be too shaded come like September. So they'll probably end up staying empty for the fall. Same thing with this and the tomato beds. But for now, tomatoes, peppers, all producing great. We're going to harvest a whole bunch of these marigolds, as well as pretty much all the ones at the farm for now. I mean, they'll keep producing. But we have a big order this week that I need to fill. And we still have lots of tomatoes on the vine in here, just waiting for them. I harvest every day because we have enough that are coloring up. And I checked on our determinants at the farm today. They're looking good. A few of them are a little bit droopy, but they're going to be fine. So we'll keep harvesting on these guys. And then I just kind of continued weeding through here. We've got our lavender that was transplanted. I had that in a container. There's 3 of them. There were 4. I think the one that was back here just didn't make it. We've got snapdragons there instead. There's some dahlias popping up, which I don't know that they'll actually do anything this year, but they'll be fine to stay. This is another Lady of Shalott. And I just love how good this lavender looks. It'll get a hard shear back in the early spring. And then, yeah, it has definitely settled into its new location. In this bed, we still have a few surviving sweet potatoes, but most of the ones we planted got eaten. But that's okay. We'll see what we get out of these. And we definitely have plenty of pumpkins, which I'm so tempted to harvest, but I'm not going to because it's not time yet. I mean, these vines look amazing. The vines at the farm are actually starting to look weathered and done. So I might be harvesting those pretty soon. But yeah, we got some Casparita, Black Cat. They're just looking great. I missed these. I'm going to have to go back in and pull those. But then we went outside the fence and weeded around our manzanita hedge. There is one thing I want to show you. Actually, before we get to that manzanita hedge, more asters. Look how tall these are. And then the blue ones back here. I wish I had had more of these. not as many of them took, but boy, these pink ones, gorgeous. I'll definitely be growing those again. Oh, so we do have, I sowed a whole bunch of green beans along the fence line months ago, and they finally germinated, and they've been doing well, but the deer came along the other night and ate everything on the other side of the fence. So they got all of our yarrow, which is fine. I think it's so funny because it's like they just come along and bloop, take the flowers right off the top. The only reason these are still here is because I guess they were harder to reach with all the sticks and stems. So this is our terracotta yarrow. That got munched. And then also anything that was available on this side of the fence got munched. But again, that's okay. Most of my food is inside. And so, you know, the deer coming along, they're hungry, but you could see she stripped all the leaves and took whatever beans she could get. But I have still been pulling beans off of this thing on the inside. There's a bunch right here. Actually, I should go ahead and harvest those because I can use those. Especially since she missed them. There's another one on the inside here. Yeah. So yeah, I don't begrudge the wildlife this, since it's outside of the protection of the fence. You know, they're hungry and they're very thirsty this time of year with not much water being around. So I'm okay with that because everything else is protected. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was the, well, first this pumpkin that's a total volunteer, which is hysterical to me. Looks like a Jack Be Little, and we've got lots of them in there, so that's fun. The borage is also a complete volunteer. I had borage in this bed like 4 years ago, and I haven't had it since, but I guess there was enough seed, and here it is. So I'm just leaving it. The bees are loving it. We'll cut it down once it's done, but I have no problem having it here. But our manzanita is growing. This is a narrow leaf milkweed, which also, I guess, just dropped a seed there. I'm leaving it for now. This is a thistle that I need to dig up, but I did come along through here and try to weed wherever I could, trying to keep the competition down for these guys. So I wanted to show you something. This red curling of the leaves on this manzanita, I was worried about it at first. It is actually caused by an aphid, and it's inside the leaf. It creates like this pocket in there and causes the leaf to turn red and curl like that. Now, all the research that I read from the extension office said don't worry about it. It doesn't kill the plant, and there's not much you could do with aphids. And if they're on the surface, you could spray them off with water, which is what I do sometimes. Other times I just leave them, especially if they're not going to hurt the plant. And in this case, it's not going to do any major damage. So yeah, just leaving it like that. It is, most of the time people only treat that on manzanita if they don't like the look of it. I don't really care. It's not bothering me. The plants are still growing, so we're all good. Okay, so last thing I did was come through here and cut back all of the California poppy, which grows through here. We have a ceanothus that is growing up the fence here and into the fence. This is also known as California lilac, but I will give that a shear back in the spring so we can get it more bushy again. I think it just gets overtaken by the California poppy as it spreads through here. We are going to move these roses. These are Joseph's coat. This one here and this one over here. Not moving them today, but when they're dormant in the winter, I'm going to replace those. They were in our back garden in the now cottage garden in that new bed. That used to be just roses on those pillars, and we had to take them down because you can't have anything climbing up the house. So for fire reasons. And so we took them down and I transplanted 2 of them here, and they just have not thrived at all. This one over here has barely grown at all. And roses are really vigorous. Normally, I would have expected them to take over this trellis by now. So that's okay. It's not a problem. They're we're going to take them out. I will replace them with something, maybe Colette roses, because I know those are gorgeous and they do climb. In fact, there are still 2 at the garden center right now, and they are 40% off. So, I mean, maybe I'll go look and see how much they are. We saw them the other day when we were there. But, you know, I could pick 2 of those up and just leave them in their cans until it's winter and it's time to pull these guys out and put the new ones in. The other option is don't do a rose at all, just do something else that climbs. But yeah, I mean, I think it is definitely very dry here, and it's just not getting as much water as it normally would want. Even though I hand water this area, it is full of natives that don't need a lot of water. And so I think that's part of the problem. So yeah, I'll be thinking about what I want to do, but I do have this is a pretty trellis. And the idea is that something will climb up it, and we will enjoy that. So yeah, but I'm going to pull those out for sure, and we'll replace it with something different. I did not do anything on this side over here, just left it. We've got still our lavender that needs to be cut back. Narrow leaf milkweed, which is always being visited by butterflies, and then our gumweed, which will become a huge bee magnet. Was already got some on it. See, there's somebody right there. As the season goes on, last year I had just an enormous patch of that here. It was so huge, and it was like laying over. It was really heavy. It laid down over everything, so I pulled a lot of it out. You only need a little bit. That is another native. It is very sticky, kind of like calendula, but provides a lot of food for pollinators. So I do enjoy having it. And then all the milkweed is going to seed, and it will start sending out its little puffy seed heads pretty soon when these break open. And then we've got another terracotta yarrow here, which of course the deer came along and decapitated the flowers. But you know, like I said, it's outside the fence. That's a risk you take when you plant outside the fence, and it's okay. That's a very healthy plant. It's doing fine. Funnily enough, they have not really done anything to the grapes over here, which is so crazy to me because, you know, this is definitely along the fence line, which I would expect them to come nibble and eat all this, but maybe it's a last resort kind of not very tasty to them thing. I don't know, pretty funny. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for me today. I know it's kind of a short video. I have a lot of paperwork and some other stuff I've got to get done, as well as making bouquets for tomorrow's CSA. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here so I can get this edited and up for you guys. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. You know, just getting some maintenance work done in the garden always feels good. It feels productive, and it's nice to have some open space there too. I actually came and harvested a whole bunch of the roses the other day because they had grown so far into the pathway that you could not walk past it without getting snagged by thorny branches. And the arrangement's really pretty because a lot of them are like blown open, and even just some seed heads at this point, some hips and stuff, and it just looks really pretty. It's got that like kind of, I don't know, relaxed, informal kind of cottage feel, and so it's really nice. It's in the house. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.